morning, everybody. I want to welcome you all to IndyPy Conf, the Automate version, IndyPy Conf 2019. I was in a meeting yesterday, and we kind of go over like interesting things you learned, and someone had looked up what their first computer was. Luckily, this person was older than me, and so it actually made me feel really good about myself. But my first computer was an IBM PC with an Intel 8088 processor in it. I know many of you in the room may not even know what I'm talking about, but at that time I was like, man, what could this computer do for me? How could I have it like do my bidding, serve me in some way, automate some functionality for me? I was so excited, we had this computer. There wasn't even an internet then. I didn't even have a modem. I didn't think there was a serial cord connected to any peripherals. It was just a box with a monitor and a keyboard, and we could make it play music. I had like some MIDI tunes that we could like play on it. I think there was a little circus game on there, and who remembers playing Rogue or NetHack or Dungeon, the text-based RPG? Yeah, so that was my idea of automation back in, I won't tell you what year, but fast forward to starting our company. So 6 Feet Up started in the year, 1999, 20 years ago. 20 years ago, our idea of automation was I needed to set up a server, and I needed to be able to install the OS, so I had to go find a CD-ROM, or actually floppies maybe even at the time, boot it, possibly get it on the network, and then if I wanted to have an Apache web server installed on that server, I started handcrafting my beautiful bespoke web server by grabbing the source code for Apache, downloading it into the source directory, typing configure with some crazy prefix and some custom options, and then I typed make, and then I crossed my fingers and I prayed that nothing would break. And if it all went successfully, I typed make install, and I had my system ready to serve web pages on the World Wide Web. Isn't that crazy? Maybe to some of you. I want to welcome you guys all to DevOps Club. This is for everybody. And I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Fight Club, but it's almost as old as our company, 20 years as well. That movie came out ago. And if you recall, there are rules to DevOps Club. And I'm going to go over those with you guys today. But now that where we are today in our DevOps and automation journey, it's the public cloud. We have the ability now via REST APIs to spin up tens or hundreds or even thousands of instances of services, servers, databases, even serverless things to be able to accomplish all of our tasks and basically do our bidding as we go through our day-to-day work. We don't even think about the hardware that's sitting underneath what we actually used to have our physical hands on and put CD-ROMs into to actually produce a server that would do the work we need. So if we start talking about the rules of DevOps Club, obviously we have to have a certain number of rules. And if you guys remember, the first rule of DevOps Club is you don't log in to your servers. The second rule of DevOps Club is you do not log in to your servers. And why do we do this? Because anytime you log into a server, you're going to make a change. And you're going to make a change that's not documented. You're going to make a change that's going to be hard to reproduce. You're going to make a change that somebody else won't know you did and will try and undo for you, most likely, because it won't match what the expectation of that server or that service should be. So our first two rules is not logging into our servers so we can actually have consistency across our environments. Third rule of DevOps Club, if your deployment fails, you better be able to roll back. This is just good practice. We want to make sure that we can confidently release. We want to increase our ability, increase our speed, increase our velocity to release new code out to those servers. And the only way we can do that is with that absolute confidence that at any point in time we can get back to where we were, or at least to a safe, well-known spot that keeps serving traffic. So if our deployment fails, we better be able to roll back. Fourth rule, all artifacts will be stored in source control. We want to have a trail that shows where we've been, where we're going, what changes have been made to a system, so we can audit it, we can detect it, we can test it, we can now enable our continuous integration environments to pull out the state of our systems and then test that they actually do end up in that expected state after the end of a test run. So every change we make into our systems can now deploy and test and validate, and we can be sure that we are going to mitigate or head off any kind of errors before we even get into a staging environment, because our CI environment has tested it for us beforehand. Another benefit of that rule, we know who did it, right? There's a name associated with that. You can put up like a wall of shame if you wanted in your office to see who broke the build. We can now do that at the systems level instead of just at our applications level. Fifth rule of DevOps Club, only one deployment at a time. We don't, as humans, don't multitask very well. So we shouldn't try and force our DevOps engineers or our process to do that as well. If we've got one product going out and one deployment at a time, we limit our risk and our exposure to errors from basically the only place they come from, right? The computers don't make mistakes. The humans tell the computers to make the mistakes. And so that's where we need to be. Sixth rule, one of my favorites. No one-offs and no special cases. So we're going to actually, throughout the day, we're going to have some great talks about automation. You can see some of the upcoming talks on the screen here. Our second speaker will be me. David couldn't make it, but I'm going to go over this one specifically, the no one-offs, no special cases. I've got some battle scars. Actually, probably Matt has more scars than I do from special cases and no one-offs, and making sure we can deploy consistent systems over and over and over again. This means no logging into those servers, no adding in third-party package repositories because it happens to have that one special version you may need. That third-party package repository, that maintainer may never be heard from again, and you're all of a sudden stuck at that old, vulnerable, buggy version of some software you thought was going to work for you just right then and there when you needed it right now. The seventh rule of deployment. Deployments will go on as long as they have to. We're going to see this thing through to the end, and if it takes a little longer than it should, we're going to make sure we allot that time to our engineers and to our club so we can actually get our work done. And the eighth, and probably best rule, right? In the eighth and final rule, if it's your first night at DevOps Club, you're going to deploy to prod. This is actually what some companies do. I know there's organizations out there who are very, very skittish and hesitant on this, but I think if you can get a culture in your organization where it is normal that the day one you actually produce productive code and can move the needle, I think you're going to instill confidence in those new developers, and you'll be able to do this because you've done all the other rules up above. You have the ability to roll back if there is a failure. You will let it go on as long as it has to. You will let them learn from the experience. They do have permission to fail, knowing that there is a process in place to keep everything moving forward. So what's in store today? I'm really excited about the Automate conference. We were going to talk about some beautiful command line scripts. I do have a talk on YouTube about that. It's funny, in his description for David's talk about the Google Fire, he mentions Clint and Click, and I have a talk that combines both of those, which I love. So I was actually kind of disappointed. I wanted to see his talk to see what his version of command line scripts written in Python using some cool frameworks looked like. But instead, you'll get me. I'm actually going to talk, if you guys have come to Indy AWS, I gave a talk about masters and minions. We're going to talk a little bit about Salt Stack. That's actually where that slide came from with the rules of DevOps Club. So we're going to talk about that next. There's going to be some really cool stuff coming up about serverless. If you guys are interested in doing data profiling and cleaning, we've got talks about that. There's stuff about navigating the tricky world of forecasting. I think I saw Tom just walk in someplace. Oh, there he is right there. I'll call him out as he walks in the door. Tom McGinnis, folks, ladies and gentlemen. We will have a talk on MicroPython. So if you're doing embedded work, Python is in all these awesome little places, and we're going to have an introduction to MicroPython. And then, last but not least, what would a IndyPy conference be without talking about IoT, Python, and beer? So how we actually can automate and talk about beer with Python. And then we'll close out the day, and afterwards, it's not on the schedule, but we will have a happy hour over at 6 Feet Up's office, which is just right around the corner. So if you guys want to join us from like 5:15 to 6 o'clock or 7, we'll open up the taps, and you guys can come on over and hang out at the office with us. Now, I wanted to go over a few more logistics. I did talk a little bit. There's restrooms over here to the left. There are Wi-Fi passwords on the tables out in front of you. We do have awesome sponsors. So I don't know if we want to do we have sponsor slides we can put up? Oh. Well, we'll get the sponsor slides up there in a second. But I do want to thank our organizing sponsor. Again, my name's Calvin Hendryx-Parker. I'm co-founder and CTO of 6 Feet Up. We are a Python and cloud expert consulting company. We are located right here in this business park in Launch. We used to be in Launch Fishers, but we're next door. I want to thank them for allowing us to use our resources to put together this conference. So if you need any help, need anything at all, there's lots of people in the room who are part of our organizing team who are willing to help you. So Mary Beth, Doug, Matt, you probably met Carol as you got your name tag on the way in. We are actually, one of the things we try and help tech teams do is accelerate ahead and burn down their backlog. So if you have problems like that around Python and cloud, definitely come and talk to us. We'd be happy to chat about all your Python problems or Python challenges and exciting opportunities. We have been, like I mentioned, 20 years in business, and we are a woman-owned certified business. I want to also thank, let's see here, IndyPy. So IndyPy, being able to put on these conferences, our mission is to help grow Python usage in the Midwest through trainings and connecting Pythonistas. So I consider all of you part of my clan and my tribe, and I want to help all of you grow your Python skills here. And so IndyPy is definitely one of the many conduits that we do for that. We have our normal weekly or monthly events, second Tuesday of the month. We've been doing it now for 12 years. We have our Python beginner jams. We will have our right brain talks. We will have our pro talks. And then we have our new event that we started at the beginning of this year, the Python Bites, which is the fourth Tuesday of the month. We have a lunchtime event at the district tap, so that's brand new. So if you can't make the evening events on a Tuesday, please join us at lunch for that event. And then we also have the Python conferences, IndyPy conferences. So you have the Automate conference that you're sitting here today. It used to be called Pythology, so if you guys remember coming to the Pythology conferences, this is the new name for the Pythology conferences, which is IndyPy conference. We will have the web conference coming up in June, is that right? And then we have, and PyData in October. So if you guys came last year for the PyData event, we will do that again this fall. The call for papers for the web conference is open right now. So if you would like to speak, we're looking for talks at all levels. So beginner, intro, or intermediate, expert, whether it's Flask, Pyramid, Django, Pyramid, Plone, some Tornado, some framework I've not even heard of. We would love to have you guys submit talks. If you go to papercall.io, you can search for IndyPy. You'll see our upcoming conferences. And I would love to have you all submit papers and come speak at one of our conferences. We're also looking for speakers for our normal IndyPy mixers and IndyPy Bites. You can actually sign up online through the indypy.org site to be a speaker at one of our normal meetings. We'd love to have you. Another announcement, there are raffled items over here on the table, so if you guys got a ticket, don't forget to put the other half of that ticket into one of the bowls. There is a year license for PyCharm Professional, there is a No Starch Press ebook, and then there is a signed copy of the Hitchhiker's Guide to Python over there. So that's the raffle. We are live streaming today. So if you have friends who couldn't make it, there is a YouTube link. Did you post that up into? So I've given it to Mary Beth. We'll post it up on Twitter. So if you follow IndyPy on Twitter, you can actually share that link out to your friends. They should be hearing what we're hearing. We will have a couple breaks throughout the day. So there'll be a first break at 9:45. And during one of the breaks, we will have our e-gaming. So we brought in our Galaga machine in the back. I also have a Nintendo Switch hooked up here on the big stage. That will be live streamed on the internet. So if you want to show your stuff and do some awesome Mario Kart racing up here, we will be live streaming that out over the stream as well. And then there is a survey. So we need your feedback. We want to make these events as awesome as possible. We want to continue to grow them and make them better. So I think there is an electronic program guide that you guys should have gotten a link for when you signed up or registered. Or when did you send that out? Wednesday. So you should have gotten an email Wednesday with an electronic program guide in it. That has a link in there. It's a bit.ly link for the Automate Survey 19. So please fill it out. Please let us know your feedback. We want to make these events as awesome as possible for you guys, and we can only do that with your feedback. All of the things we do have been based on feedback we've gotten from people in our community. Speaking of feedback, if you want to ask questions during any of the talks, we have a wireless microphone, so that way it gets onto the recording and goes out to the live stream. If you are more comfortable and it's actually easier, you can go to slido.com on your mobile device or on your laptop and put in automate conf as the conference name you're at. The questions will pop up here so the speaker can see them, then the speaker will repeat them, that way they get on the recording. And you can also go there and upvote and downvote questions. So if you see a question up there that you wanted to ask yourself, make sure you upvote it, because that will make it pop to the top. So we make sure the important, most high priority questions get answered first. Any other logistics I'm forgetting? I'm certainly forgetting something. Did I cover everything? Oh, look, hello world. Yes, hello world. I will respond to that question with hello IndyPy. Thank you guys all for coming. So next up will be me. I'm going to give our Master's Opinions talk on automating Salt Stack. And so I will switch over real quick to my other laptop.